The Galactic Hunters Guild headquarters stretched across 3 city blocks on station, its crystalline towers reaching toward the artificial sky. Inside the main hall, hundreds of alien species gathered around holographic displays showing the most dangerous creatures in known space. The air buzzed with excitement and the constant chatter of translators working overtime. Captain Maya stood at the back of the crowd, her simple Earth military uniform looking plain among the elaborate hunting gear worn by other species. She watched as a massive warrior, standing 12 feet tall with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws, gestured wildly at a hologram of a beast called a Void Stalker. "Impossible," the roared, his voice booming through the hall. "No single hunter has ever taken down 3 Apex-class predators in one expedition. The registration system must be broken." A serpentine Naga coiled nearby, her scales shimmering with built-in armor plating. "Perhaps it's a clerical error," she hissed. "Humans are new to the guild. They probably don't understand our classification system." Maya stepped forward, her boots clicking on the polished floor. The conversations around her gradually died down as more beings noticed the human approaching the registration desk. She was average height for her species, with short brown hair and calm dark eyes that seemed to take in everything around her. "Excuse me," Maya said to the 4-armed clerk behind the desk. "I'm here to register my hunt results from the system." The clerk, a being that looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a computer terminal, clicked its mandibles nervously. "Ah, yes, Captain, is it? There seems to be some confusion about your submitted data." "What kind of confusion?" Maya asked, her voice steady and professional. "Well," the clerk gestured to its screen with one of its 4 hands. "According to your report, you single-handedly hunted and killed a crystal spine and a thermal drake. All 3 are classified as apex predators. The odds of encountering even one of these creatures and surviving are roughly 1 in 10,000. The odds of hunting 3 successfully," the clerk's voice trailed off, "are exactly what I reported," Maya finished calmly. The warrior pushed through the crowd, his heavy footsteps making the floor vibrate. "Human, do you understand what you're claiming? I've been hunting for 3 centuries. I've taken down hundreds of creatures across dozens of worlds, but even I would never attempt to hunt alone. They're invisible killers that can phase through solid matter." Maya looked up at the towering alien without flinching. "I understand perfectly what I'm claiming. I hunted 3 apex predators. I have the proof." "Proof?" The Naga slithered closer, her voice dripping with skepticism. "What proof could a primitive species possibly have? Humans don't even have natural weapons or enhanced senses." The crowd pressed closer, and Maya found herself surrounded by dozens of alien species, all murmuring in their various languages. She could see the doubt in their eyes, the way they looked at her small frame and basic equipment with something between pity and amusement. A new voice cut through the chatter. "Let me see this supposed proof." The crowd parted to reveal a being that made even the large step back respectfully. It was one of the galaxy's most feared predator species. Standing 9 feet tall, the creature resembled a cross between a dragon and a spider, with 6 legs ending in claws that could cut through starship hull plating. Its head was covered in sensory spines that could detect movement from miles away, and its multiple eyes glowed with an inner fire. "Hi, Hunter," the clerk stammered. "I didn't know you were on station." "I arrived this morning," the replied, its voice like grinding metal. "I was curious about this human who claims to have done what veteran hunters consider impossible." Its multiple eyes fixed on Maya. "Show me your proof, little human." Maya reached into her gear bag and pulled out a small recording device. "Everything's documented here. Full biometric scanning, environmental data, and real-time combat footage." The clerk connected the device to the main display system, and suddenly the entire hall was filled with a 3-dimensional hologram of an alien jungle. The recording showed Maya's perspective as she moved through dense vegetation on a world with purple skis and 2 suns. "This is the system," Maya's voice came from the recording. "Day 3 of my hunt. I've been tracking what the locals call the Eater of Light, what the guild classifies as a..." The assembled hunters watched in silence as the recording showed Maya setting up what looked like a simple trap using rope and some kind of metal device. Her movements were precise and economical, with no wasted motion. "Humans don't usually hunt for sport," Maya's recorded voice continued. "We hunt for necessity. When something threatens our survival, we don't fight fair, we fight smart." The jungle in the recording suddenly went completely dark. Not the darkness of night, but the absolute void that came with its presence. These creatures could absorb all light in a 30-meter radius, becoming essentially invisible while their prey stumbled around blind. "Impossible," whispered a crystalline being that looked like living gemstone. "No one can fight in its shadow field." But Maya in the recording seemed unconcerned by the darkness. She stood perfectly still, her breathing calm and controlled. Then, without warning, she dove to her left just as something massive crashed into the ground where she'd been standing. "Thermal signature," Maya's voice explained calmly as she rolled and came up with what looked like a simple Earth rifle. "Absorb light, but they still produce heat. Infrared targeting system shows exactly where they are." The rifle in the recording emitted a bright flash, and suddenly a creature the size of a small transport vehicle was visible, writhing on the ground. It looked like a cross between a panther and a shadow, with too many teeth and claws that seemed to bend light around them. "One shot," Maya's recorded voice stated matter-of-factly. "Center mass, depleted uranium core, designed specifically for creatures with phasing abilities." The silence in the guild hall was absolute. Even High Hunter seemed stunned by what they were seeing. The recording continued, showing Maya carefully documenting the creature's measurements and biological samples. But it didn't end there. The timestamp showed she continued hunting for 2 more days. The second target was easier to find, Maya's voice continued as the scene shifted to a crystalline cave system. Crystal spines nest in mineral-rich environments. They're perfect ambush predators, nearly invisible in their natural habitat and armed with projectile spines that can punch through battle armor. The recording showed Maya entering what appeared to be a cathedral made of living crystal. Every surface reflected light in dazzling patterns, making it nearly impossible to distinguish between the environment and potential threats. "The trick with crystal spines," Maya explained as she moved carefully through the cave, "is that they rely on optical camouflage, but they're still living creatures. They have to breathe." She pulled out what looked like a simple aerosol canister and began spraying a fine mist into the air. Suddenly, the outline of a massive creature became visible as the particles outlined its breathing patterns. It was beautiful and terrifying, a creature that looked like it was carved from living diamond, with spines along its back that glowed with inner light. "CO2 detection spray," Maya said as she raised her rifle again. "Military surplus from Earth, works on any creature that uses standard respiratory systems." The crystal spine launched a barrage of its deadly spines at Maya's position, but she was already moving. The projectiles shattered against the cave walls as Maya fired 3 precise shots. The creature's armor might have been nearly impenetrable, but Maya had aimed for the breathing vents along its sides. "Knowledge of anatomy beats brute force every time," Maya's voice noted as the massive creature collapsed. By now, the crowd in the guild hall was completely silent. The recording showed timestamps indicating Maya had spent another full day documenting and harvesting materials from the crystal spine before moving on to her final target. "The thermal drake was the biggest challenge," Maya's recorded voice admitted as the scene shifted to what looked like the inside of a volcano. "These creatures live in environments that would kill most species instantly. Surface temperature of their habitat averages 800 degrees Celsius. The recording showed Maya in what appeared to be a specialized heat suit, but it was clearly improvised from standard equipment rather than purpose-built hunting gear. "The thing about thermal drakes," Maya continued as she navigated through pools of molten rock, "is that they're used to being the apex predator in their environment. Nothing else can survive their habitat, so they've never learned to fear anything." A massive roar echoed through the recording as something enormous moved in the lava flows ahead. The creature that emerged was like a dragon made of living fire, its scales glowing white-hot and its breath capable of melting stone. "That's overconfidence," Maya noted as she took position behind a large rock formation. "And overconfidence kills." What happened next? Everything the assembled hunters thought they knew about combat tactics. Instead of trying to fight the creature with heat-resistant weapons or protective gear, Maya did something completely unexpected. She threw a series of small devices into the lava pools around the drake. The devices immediately began releasing clouds of what looked like steam, but the drake's reaction was immediate and dramatic. The massive creature began thrashing wildly, its roars now sounding more like screams of pain. Liquid nitrogen charges, Maya explained as she calmly lined up her shot. Thermal drakes regulate their body temperature through their environment. Rapid temperature changes in their habitat cause extreme physiological stress. The drake, disoriented and in pain from the sudden cold spots in its territory, exposed its vulnerable underbelly as it writhed in confusion. Maya's rifle cracked once, and the massive creature went still. 3 shots, 3 kills, Maya's voice concluded. Different tactics for different targets, but the same principle: know your enemy better than they know themselves. The recording ended, leaving the guild hall in absolute silence. Maya calmly removed her device from the display system and looked around at the hundreds of staring faces. "Any questions about my hunting methods?" she asked. High Hunter stepped forward, its multiple eyes studying Maya with something that might have been respect. "How long have humans been developing these hunting techniques?" "About 3 million years, Maya replied. "We weren't always the dominant species on our planet. We learned to hunt things bigger, faster, and stronger than us because we had to. It was adapt or die." A small, furry creature that looked like a cross between a bear and a raccoon pushed through the crowd. "But your weapons, your equipment, they're so simple. How can primitive tools be effective against apex predators?" Maya smiled for the first time since entering the hall. "Because we don't rely on our tools, we rely on our minds. Every piece of equipment I used can be found in any standard military surplus store on Earth. The difference isn't the gear, it's knowing how to use it." The warrior who had first challenged her stepped forward, his 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. "This changes nothing. You may have killed these creatures, but you did it through trickery and deception. True hunters face their prey with honor." "Honor doesn't feed your family when winter comes," Maya replied, her voice calm but firm. "And it doesn't protect your settlement when predators threaten it. Humans hunt to survive, everything else is just showing off." A new voice spoke from the crowd. "What about pack hunting? Surely you had support teams, orbital assistance." "No," Maya said simply. "Solo hunt, solo kill, that's how it's registered." "Impossible," the Naga hissed. "No single being can track, locate, and kill 3 apex predators across different biomes without support." Maya pulled out a small tablet and displayed a series of maps and charts. "It's called persistence hunting. Humans are endurance predators. We don't sprint faster than our prey, we just never stop following them. I spent 3 weeks on, learning the terrain, studying behavior patterns, identifying weaknesses." She pointed to various markings on the maps. "Follow specific patrol routes based on thermal vents that provide the energy they need to maintain their light absorption. Crystal spines have feeding schedules tied to mineral absorption cycles. Thermal drakes are territorial but predictable in their habitat preferences." "You studied them like prey animals," High Hunter observed. "Because that's what they are," Maya replied. "Everything is somebody's prey. Even apex predators have weaknesses. You just have to be patient enough to find them and smart enough to exploit them." The crowd began murmuring among themselves in dozens of languages. Maya could hear fragments of the conversations, some admiring, some skeptical, some clearly dismissive of human hunting methods. A being that looked like a walking tree stepped forward. "Your methods are efficient, but where is the challenge, the sport, the test of personal prowess?" "I'm not here for sport," Maya said firmly. "I'm here because the system has been suffering predator attacks on civilian settlements. 3 different apex predators have been killing colonists and disrupting supply lines. The local government put out a bounty contract through the guild." This caused another stir in the crowd. Bounty hunting was considered far beneath the notice of most guild members, who hunted for personal glory and trophies rather than payment. "You're a mercenary," they said with obvious disdain. "I'm a problem solver," Maya corrected. "The colonies needed those predators eliminated safely and efficiently. I eliminated them. The colonies are safe. The supply lines are open. Mission accomplished." High Hunter's spines twitched with what might have been amusement. "And you accomplished this mission in how long?" 3 weeks total. 1 week for reconnaissance and planning, 2 weeks for execution." 3 weeks, they repeated slowly. "Most guild expeditions to hunt a single apex predator take months of preparation and weeks of active hunting." "Most guild expeditions are hunting for sport," Maya pointed out. "I was hunting for results." The clerk at the registration desk had been frantically typing during the entire exchange. Now it looked up with what might have been nervousness. "Captain, your hunt results have been and registered. However, there is one complication." "What kind of complication?" Maya asked. "Your success rate and efficiency ratings have triggered certain guild protocols, specifically the challenge protocol." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Which means what exactly?" High Hunter answered. "It means that other hunters now have the right to challenge your claims through direct competition. If they believe your methods are illegitimate or your skills inadequate, they can demand a hunt-off." "A what?" "Both parties hunt the same type of creature under identical conditions. Best results win. The loser forfeits their guild standing and all associated benefits." Maya looked around the hall at the hundreds of alien faces staring at her. "And if I refuse?" "Your registration is revoked and humans are banned from guild membership," the clerk explained apologetically. "How many challenges?" Maya asked. "That depends on how many hunters feel their reputations have been threatened by your unconventional success," replied. As if summoned by his words, the warrior stepped forward. "I challenge the human's right to claim these kills. Her methods are dishonorable and her results are fraudulent." The Naga slithered closer. "I also challenge. Humans lack the physical capabilities for true hunting." One by one, other voices joined in. The crystalline being, the tree-like creature, and dozens of others all stepped forward to issue challenges. Maya counted at least 30 different species represented among the challengers. She looked at the crowd for a long moment, then turned back to the registration desk. "What are the standard terms for multiple challenges?" The clerk's mandibles clicked nervously. "Usually, challengers are dealt with one at a time. However, given the unprecedented nature of this situation, the Guild Council could authorize a mass challenge event." "Meaning?" "All challengers hunt the same creature type simultaneously. Last hunter standing wins all challenges." High Hunter stepped closer to Maya, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Human, you should know that accepting a mass challenge is considered suicide. Even veteran hunters avoid them." Maya looked up at the massive. "What would you do in my position?" "I would accept," replied without hesitation. "But we are bred for conflict. You are human. Your strengths lie elsewhere." "Actually," Maya said, raising her voice so the entire hall could hear, "my strengths are exactly what this situation requires." She turned to address the crowd of challengers. "I accept all challenges, mass challenge format, when and where." The hall erupted in shocked conversation. The clerk looked like it might faint. "Captain," the clerk stammered, "are you certain? A mass challenge means you would be competing against 37 of the galaxy's most experienced hunters simultaneously." Maya smiled again, and this time there was something predatory in her expression. "Sounds like a fair fight." "Fair," the roared with laughter. 37 against one is fair." "For you, maybe," Maya replied calmly. "After all, humans are the only species here that evolved specifically to hunt in packs. We're also the only species that turned warfare into a science. And we're definitely the only species that considers 37-to-1 odds a reasonable challenge." The laughter died abruptly. High Hunter's spines were now definitely displaying amusement. "The challenge will take place in one standard week. Location to be determined by Guild Council. Creature type to be selected randomly from available Apex classifications." "1 week," Maya nodded. "That's enough time." "Enough time for what?" the Naga asked suspiciously. Maya picked up her gear bag and headed toward the exit. "To show you what human hunting really looks like when we stop holding back." The crowd parted before her as she walked toward the door. Just before reaching it, she turned back one last time. "Oh, and just so we're clear, I've only been hunting solo because I was being polite. Human pack hunters don't leave survivors." The Guild Council chamber sat at the apex of Station's central spire, its transparent walls offering a view of the swirling nebula that gave the system its distinctive purple glow. Around the circular table sat representatives of the 12 founding species that had established the Galactic Hunters Guild 3 centuries ago. High Hunter stood at the center of the chamber, his 6 legs positioned in the formal stance of making an official report. The other council members listened in varying degrees of disbelief as he recounted the events in the main hall. "Let me understand this correctly," interrupted Council Elder, a serpentine Naga whose scales had faded to silver with age. A single human has challenged our entire understanding of apex predator hunting. Not challenged, corrected. Shattered. I have reviewed the recordings myself. Her methods are unlike anything in our databases. A crystalline being that resembled a living mountain leaned forward, its voice resonating through harmonic frequencies. Elder Al has concerns about these innovations. If humans can eliminate apex predators so efficiently, what does this mean for the Guild's purpose? The Guild exists to test hunters against the galaxy's most dangerous creatures, replied Elder, a massive whose battle scars told stories of centuries of combat. If humans have found ways to trivialize these tests, they haven't trivialized anything, interjected. They've simply approached the problem from a completely different angle. Where we see honorable combat, they see tactical problems requiring solution. Elder coiled in her seat. You almost sound as if you approve of this human's methods. I find them educational, admitted. For 3 centuries, the Guild has operated under the assumption that individual prowess and advanced technology are the primary factors in successful hunting. This human has demonstrated that knowledge and preparation can be equally important. Equally important? Elder Al's harmonic voice rose in pitch. She used tricks and deception. She used intelligence, replied firmly. Something we seem to have forgotten is also a weapon. Elder slammed one of his 4 fists on the table. Enough! The challenge has been issued and accepted. 37 of our finest hunters against 1 human. The outcome will settle this matter permanently. About that, said carefully, there may be a complication. What kind of complication? Elder asked. The human has made a request regarding the challenge format. She wants to review the historical records of every challenger. Absolutely not, Elder growled. Hunters compete based on their current abilities, not their past victories. Actually, Elder said slowly, she has that right under Guild law. Any hunter facing a challenge may request relevant information about their opponents. Elder Al's crystalline form shimmered with agitation. Relevant information about 37 different hunters that could take days to compile. She's already started, admitted. I granted her access to the public records this morning. Why would you do that without council approval? Elder demanded. Because I was curious to see what she would do with the information, replied. The results have been illuminating. Elder leaned forward. Explain. She's not studying their victories. She's studying their failures. The council chamber fell silent, except for the gentle hum of the station's life support systems. Every hunter has losses, Elder said finally. Defeats teach us as much as victories. Yes, but she's not looking at random defeats. She's identifying patterns, specific types of creatures that give certain species trouble, environmental conditions that favor some hunters over others, equipment failures, tactical mistakes, physiological limitations. Elder Al's harmonic voice dropped to a worried whisper. She's building a database of weaknesses. Exactly, confirmed. In 12 hours, she's compiled a comprehensive analysis of every challenger's vulnerabilities. She knows which hunters struggle in high-gravity environments, which ones have difficulty with creatures that use stealth tactics, which ones rely too heavily on specific types of equipment. Elder stood up, his massive frame casting shadows across the chamber. This is exactly why humans should never have been admitted to the Guild. They turn everything into warfare. Perhaps, mused, that's because they understand something we've forgotten. In the wild, there are no rules, there are only survivors. Meanwhile, 3 levels below in a rented workspace, Maya sat surrounded by holographic displays showing hunter profiles, creature classifications, and environmental data. Her fingers moved rapidly across multiple keyboards as she cross-referenced information from dozens of databases. A soft chime indicated an incoming communication. Maya accepted the call, and the image of a middle-aged human man in a military uniform appeared on her screen. General Harrison, Maya said without looking up from her work, thank you for taking my call. Captain, the general replied, his voice carrying the slight delay of interstellar communication. I have to say, your request has raised some eyebrows here at command. You want us to send how many specialists to a hunting competition? 12, Maya said, finally turning to face the screen. 1 for each major discipline. I need a sniper, a demolitions expert, a tracker, a biologist, a geologist, a combat engineer, a medic, a communications specialist, a pilot, an intelligence analyst, a cyber warfare expert, and a psychological operations specialist. General Harrison studied her for a moment. Captain, the guild challenge is supposed to be individual competition. No, sir, Maya corrected. The challenge is 37 hunters versus me. They didn't specify that I had to remain alone. The other species won't be working together, the general pointed out. No, they won't. That's their first mistake. The general leaned back in his chair. Explain your tactical assessment, Captain. Maya gestured to the data surrounding her. The guild has operated for centuries on the principle of individual excellence. Each species sends their best hunters to compete in personal glory. They've never developed doctrine for cooperative hunting because they've never needed to. And humans? Humans wrote the book on cooperative hunting, sir. We took down megafauna 10 times our size by working together. We conquered an entire planet by coordinating our efforts. We've spent the last 1,000 years perfecting small unit tactics. General Harrison nodded slowly. You're not planning to outhunt them, you're planning to outsoldier them. Exactly, sir. This isn't a hunting competition anymore. It's a military operation. And in military operations, humans don't lose. The general was quiet for a long moment. Your request is approved, Captain. The team will arrive within 48 hours. Try not to start a war. No promises, sir, Maya replied with a grin. After ending the communication, Maya returned to her analysis. The data painted a clear picture of the challenges she would face. The hunters were physically powerful but relied heavily on brute force tactics. The Naga were excellent at stealth but struggled in cold environments. The crystalline beings had enhanced senses but were vulnerable to sonic attacks. Each species had evolved specialized hunting techniques based on their physiology and home environments. It made them extremely effective in certain situations and predictably weak in others. Maya was reviewing atmospheric composition data when another chime announced a visitor at her door. She opened it to find High Hunter standing in the corridor, his massive frame barely fitting through the standard doorway. High Hunter, Maya said, stepping back to allow him entry. This is unexpected. I came to offer advice, said, his multiple eyes taking in the data displays covering Maya's workspace. Though I see you may not need it. I appreciate the offer. What kind of advice? Moved carefully around the holographic displays, his predator's instincts clearly analyzing everything he saw. The kind that might keep you alive. Do you understand what you've gotten yourself into? A hunting competition that's become something more complicated, Maya replied honestly. Much more complicated. There are political implications you may not have considered. Maya gestured for him to sit, though she realized belatedly that her human-sized furniture wouldn't accommodate her. Instead, she dimmed the lights and activated a sound-dampening field. Tell me about the politics. Settled into a resting position, his legs folding beneath him in a way that reminded Maya of a spider. The guild is more than just a hunting organization. It's a symbol of galactic cooperation. The founding species created it as a way to channel competitive instincts into non-destructive outlets. Better to hunt dangerous animals than fight wars over territory, Maya nodded. I can see the logic. Exactly, but your presence here threatens that balance, if humans prove superior to established guild members. Other species might start questioning the existing power structure, Maya finished. Politics aside, I've already accepted the challenge. Backing down now would dishonor humanity's standing in the galactic community. Spines rippled in what Maya had learned was the equivalent of a nod. Which is why I'm here. The Guild Council has selected the challenge location and creature type. And Helix Prime, Class A Death World, Gravity 1.8 Standard, Atmosphere composition hostile to most oxygen-breathing species. Temperature range from -40 to +60 Celsius depending on time of day. Maya pulled up data on Helix Prime, whistling softly at what she saw. Impressive, and the creature. Nightmare Class Void Hunters. Pack predators that hunt in coordinated groups of 5 to 10 individuals. Natural stealth capabilities, enhanced speed and agility, and enough intelligence to use basic tools. Pack hunters, Maya repeated, studying the creature profiles. How many packs on planet? Current estimates suggest 12 to 15 active packs in the designated hunting zone. Maya felt a cold smile spread across her face. Perfect. Multiple eyes focused on her with sharp attention. Perfect. Captain, void hunters are considered among the most dangerous creatures in known space, specifically because they hunt in coordinated groups. Most guild members won't even attempt to hunt them solo. That's because most guild members aren't human, Maya replied, her fingers already pulling up tactical data on pack hunting behaviors. Humans didn't become apex predators by avoiding pack hunters. We became apex predators by being better pack hunters. Your competitors will be attempting to eliminate individual creatures or small groups. Standard hunting doctrine. And while they're doing that, I'm going to eliminate entire packs. Multiple packs, possibly all the packs in the hunting zone. Spine stood on end. That's not hunting, Captain, that's extermination. Maya looked up from her displays. Hi, Hunter, let me ask you something. When humans first applied to join the guild, what was the official response? The application was initially rejected. The Guild Council felt that humans lacked the necessary physical capabilities for apex predator hunting. And what changed their minds? The incident on VII said quietly. A human military unit eliminated a Ravager infestation that had guild hunters for months. Right, and how did they do it? Was silent for a moment. Orbital bombardment. They destroyed the entire Ravager colony structure from space. Because sometimes the mission matters more than the method, Maya said firmly. The colonists didn't care about hunting ethics or sporting chance. They cared about survival, and the human military delivered that. But this is different. This is a formal guild challenge. No, Maya said, standing up and beginning to pace around her workspace. This is 37 experienced hunters trying to humiliate humanity because they can't accept that our methods work. They want to prove that human hunting techniques are illegitimate. And you intend to prove them wrong. I intend to prove them irrelevant, Maya corrected. Hi, Hunter, how many Void Hunter attacks have there been on civilian settlements in the last year? His mandibles clicked as he accessed his memory. 17 confirmed attacks across 9 systems, estimated casualties in the thousands. And how many guild hunting expeditions have been sent to deal with these threats? 2 were successful in eliminating individual creatures. The other 2 failed completely, Maya finished. Because the guild treats void hunters like trophies instead of threats, you send individual hunters after pack predators and wonder why the success rate is so low. What would you do differently? Maya gestured to her displays showing everything from atmospheric composition to creature behavior patterns. I'd treat it like the military operation it should be. Reconnaissance, intelligence gathering, force multiplication, coordinated assault, and complete objective achievement. You sound like you're planning to invade the planet. I'm planning to clear it, Maya replied. Every Void Hunter pack eliminated is a future colony that doesn't get attacked. Every nest destroyed is a dozen ships that don't disappear in hyperspace. Every breeding pair killed is thousands of potential victims who get to live. Studied her for a long moment. You really believe this is about more than just the challenge. Hi, Hunter, the guild has spent centuries turning hunting into sport. But the galaxy is full of genuine threats that need elimination, not collection. If this challenge can demonstrate the difference between hunting for glory and hunting for results, then maybe some good will come of it. And if you fail? Maya looked back at the displays showing her opponents' profiles. 37 of the galaxy's most experienced hunters, each representing centuries of tradition and expertise. Then humanity learns from the failure and does better next time, she said simply. But I don't plan to fail. Rose from his resting position. Captain, I came here to warn you about what you're facing. Instead, I find myself curious about what your opponents are facing. They're facing something the guild has never encountered before, Maya replied. A human who stopped pretending to be something she's not. After left, Maya returned to her analysis with renewed focus. She had 6 days to prepare for the most important hunt of her career. 6 days to prove that human methods weren't just valid, but superior. 6 days to show the galaxy what humans could really do when they stopped fighting fair. The data streams continued flowing across her displays as she began planning her campaign. Because that's what this was, despite the guild's insistence on calling it a hunt. A military campaign against a hostile force in territory. And humans had never lost a war they were fully committed to winning. The transport ship Persistence dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Helix system, its hull from decades of military service. Captain Maya stood on the bridge watching the planet grow larger on the Helix Prime looked like a bruised marble, its surface mottled with dark continents and violent storm systems. "Atmospheric entry in 30 minutes, announced Lieutenant Commander Sarah Torres from the pilot's seat. "I'm reading massive electromagnetic interference from those storms. Sensor range will be limited once we're in." Maya nodded, studying the tactical displays. "That works in our favor. The other hunters will have the same problem." Behind her, the rest of her team made final preparations for planetfall. She'd handpicked each member from Earth's Special Operations Forces, choosing specialists who could adapt to any situation. Sergeant First Class looked up from his sniper rifle, a custom weapon designed for extreme-range precision shooting. "Captain, I've been reviewing the files on these other hunters. Some impressive kill counts." "Kill counts don't mean much in a target-rich environment," replied Chief Petty Officer Lisa Park, who was calibrating her demolitions equipment. "Quantity has a quality all its own." Doctor, the team's biologist, gestured to the creature data displayed on her tablet. "The Void Hunters are fascinating from an evolutionary perspective. They've developed pack hunting strategies that rival early human societies." "Except we kept evolving," noted Staff Sergeant David, their tracker and reconnaissance specialist. "These things are still using the same tactics their ancestors did 1,000,000 years ago." Maya moved between her team members, checking their preparations. Each specialist brought unique capabilities that no individual hunter could match. Corporal James, their communications expert, looked up from his equipment. "Captain, I'm picking up chatter from the guild monitoring station. Sounds like most of the other hunting teams have already made planetfall." "Any useful intelligence?" "3 teams have already engaged Void Hunter scouts. 2 confirmed kills, but 1 team lost a hunter to an ambush. The who challenged you in the guild hall." Maya felt a moment of professional sympathy. She hadn't liked this attitude, but no hunter deserved to die from overconfidence. "What about the others?" "Scattered across the hunting zone, most are working solo or in pairs. The Naga team is the largest group, 4 hunters coordinating their efforts." Master Chief Frank, their combat engineer, snorted with amusement. "4 hunters? That's adorable." Sir looked confused. "Human squad tactics start at 12 personnel minimum," Maya explained. "We don't consider 4 people a team, we consider it a patrol." The ship shuddered as they hit the outer atmosphere. Captain Tor's voice came over the intercom. "Rough ride ahead. These storms are worse than anticipated." Maya activated the team's communication network. "Final briefing. Doctor, what do we know about Void Hunter behavior?" The biologist pulled up holographic displays showing creature anatomy and behavioral patterns. "Pack structure is matriarchal. Alpha-female leads, with 2 to 3 breeding males and various subordinate members. They establish territory through scent marking and aggressive displays." "Territorial behavior means predictable patrol routes," noted. "I can map their movement patterns within hours of observation." "Pack size averages 7 individuals," continued. "But they can coordinate between packs for large-scale hunts. Intelligence estimates suggest they're capable of basic tool use and tactical planning." Sergeant adjusted his rifle scope. "What about their stealth capabilities?" "Natural camouflage similar to chameleons, but requires concentration to maintain. They can't stay invisible while moving at full speed or during combat." "Exploitable weakness," noted Chief Park. "Flashbang grenades should disrupt their camouflage systems." Maya nodded approvingly. "Doctor." Technical Sergeant Allen, their cyber warfare specialist, looked up from his portable computer array. "No relation before anyone asks. I've been analyzing their hunting patterns from guild records. Void hunters prefer ambush tactics from elevated positions. They use terrain channeling to force prey into kill zones. Standard counter is to avoid obvious routes and maintain 360-degree security," Master Chief observed. "Staff Sergeant, what's our reconnaissance plan?" Gestured to a 3-dimensional map of the hunting zone. "I've identified 12 potential pack territories based on terrain analysis and resource distribution. We'll start with aerial reconnaissance to confirm pack locations, then move to detailed behavioral observation." Time frame. Give me 8 hours for initial mapping, another 12 for detailed analysis. After that, we'll know exactly where every pack is, how they move, and when they're most vulnerable. Maya smiled. 20 hours for complete intelligence gathering. Most guild hunters would spend weeks just locating their targets. Major, Maya turned to their psychological operations specialist. Major Jennifer looked up from her analysis of guild hunter profiles. I've been studying the competition. Most are operating under standard guild doctrine: locate target, engage target, collect trophy. They're not considering the broader tactical picture. Which means they're treating this like individual duels instead of a military operation. They'll go after single creatures or small groups, claim their kills, and consider the mission complete. While we eliminate entire packs and destabilize the entire ecosystem, Maya nodded. Medical assessment, Doc. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Stevens, their combat medic, reviewed his equipment. Void Hunter venom is primarily hemotoxic. I've prepared appropriate antidotes and emergency treatment protocols. More concerning is the environmental hazards: temperature extremes, toxic atmospheric components, and radiation exposure from the solar activity. Equipment status, Master Chief. Patted his gear affectionately. Portable fabrication unit is online. I can manufacture specialized equipment or ammunition in the field. Environmental shelters are ready for deployment, and I've prepared some surprises for any void hunters that think they can ambush us. Such as... Grinned, let's just say that humans didn't invent claymore mines for hunting deer. The ship shuddered again as they descended through the storm layer. Captain Tor's voice crackled over the intercom. Approaching the drop zone, electromagnetic interference is getting worse. We'll have about a 5-minute window before I have to pull back to safe altitude. Maya activated her combat harness and checked her personal weapons. Unlike the elaborate hunting equipment favored by guild members, her gear was military standard, reliable, effective, and designed for extended operations. Listen up, she announced to her team. The guild thinks this is about proving human hunting methods are legitimate. They're wrong. This is about proving that human military doctrine is superior to individual heroics. Her team members finished their final preparations, each one a veteran of countless operations across dozens of worlds. The other hunters are looking for trophies, Maya continued. We're eliminating threats. They're competing for individual glory. We're accomplishing mission objectives. They're following sporting rules. We're following the laws of war. Which laws would those be, Captain? Asked Sergeant with a grin. Win decisively, minimize friendly casualties, and make sure the enemy can't threaten anyone ever again, Maya replied. The ship touched down with a bone-jarring impact. Outside the viewports, Helix Prime's landscape looked like something from a nightmare: twisted rock formations jutting up through swirling mist, with strange lights flickering in the distance. 30 seconds, Tors announced. Maya grabbed her gear and headed for the drop ramp. Remember, we're not just representing humanity in this challenge. We're demonstrating human military capabilities to the entire galaxy. Every move we make is being recorded and analyzed. No pressure, muttered Chief Park. Actually, lots of pressure, Maya corrected as the ramp began to lower. The Guild has spent centuries believing that individual excellence trumps coordinated effort. Today we prove them wrong. The ramp hit the ground with a metallic clang, and immediately the team was hit by Helix Prime's hostile environment. The gravity was noticeably higher than standard. The air had a metallic taste that their filters couldn't completely eliminate, and the constant wind carried sounds that might have been natural, or might not. Maya led her team off the ship, immediately establishing a defensive perimeter while set up communication equipment, and began his reconnaissance scan. The ship's engines spun up almost immediately, lifting Tors back to orbit where she could monitor the situation and provide emergency extraction if necessary. Contact time with Guild Monitoring Station is 14 hours, announced. All hunters are required to check in at designated intervals. Understood. What do you see? Had his portable sensor array fully deployed, scanning the surrounding terrain with multiple detection methods. I'm reading life signs consistent with Void Hunter profiles, multiple groups spread across the zone in predictable territorial patterns. How many? Preliminary count suggests 11 active packs, That's roughly 77 individual creatures. Chief Park whistled softly. 77 targets. The other hunters are going to be here for months. Not if we have anything to say about it, Maya replied. Doctor, start electronic warfare protocols. I want to know everything about the other hunters' positions and activities. Activated his cyber warfare suite, immediately beginning electronic surveillance of the hunting zone. I'm picking up at least 20 different communication signatures. Most hunters are maintaining radio contact with their support teams. Can you intercept their communications? Already am. Basic encryption, nothing that Earth can't crack in minutes. Maya felt a predatory smile cross her face. Information superiority was fundamental to human military doctrine. While the other hunters operated blind, her team would know exactly where everyone was and what they were planning. Master Chief, I want defensive positions established within the hour. Doc, start atmospheric analysis and medical baselines. Major, begin psychological analysis of local void hunter behavior. What about the packs themselves? Asked Doctor. Maya looked out across the hostile landscape of Helix Prime. Somewhere in those twisted canyons and storm-swept ridges were creatures that had killed thousands of sentient beings across dozens of worlds. The guild treated them as challenging prey. She saw them as enemy forces to be eliminated. We observe them for exactly as long as it takes to plan their complete destruction, she said. This isn't a hunting expedition, it's a military operation, and we're going to conduct it like one. Looked up from his scanner array. Captain, I'm reading movement about 2 kilometers north. Signature matches Void Hunter scouts. How many? 3 individuals, moving in standard patrol formation. Maya activated her tactical display, immediately sharing sensor data with the entire team. First contact in 30 minutes. Remember, we're not here to trade shots with individual creatures. We're here to break their entire command structure. She looked at each of her team members in turn. Questions? Just one, said Sergeant, checking his rifle one more time. Are we trying to leave any of them alive? Maya thought about the civilian settlements that had been attacked, the ships that had disappeared, the thousands of people who had died because the guild treated these creatures like sporting challenges instead of genuine threats. Negative, she said firmly. Total elimination of hostile forces, no survivors. Chief Park grinned as she checked her demolitions charges. Now you're talking my language, Captain. In the distance, something howled, a sound that made every human instinct scream danger. It was answered by another howl, then another, until the entire landscape seemed alive with predator calls. They know we're here, observed Staff Sergeant. Good, Maya replied, checking her own weapons one final time. That means they'll come to us. As her team finished their preparations, Maya opened a communication channel to the guild monitoring station. This is Captain, checking in as required. Team is in position and beginning operations. Understood, Captain, came the reply. Be advised, several hunters have already engaged targets. Current confirmed kills stand at 4 individual void hunters. Copy that, Maya replied. We'll be in touch. She closed the channel and turned to her team. 4 individual kills, she announced. At this rate, it'll take them weeks to clear the hunting zone. How long for us? Asked Major. Maya looked out at the landscape, where dozens of deadly predators waited in the gathering darkness. 72 hours, she said confidently, maybe less. Because humans hadn't conquered a galaxy by hunting individual creatures. They'd conquered it by eliminating entire enemy populations. Dawn on Helix Prime came like an explosion of crimson light as the system's twin suns crested the horizon. Captain Maya lay prone on a rocky outcropping, watching through her scope as a Void Hunter pack conducted their morning patrol 2 kilometers away. Contact Alpha 7, 11 individuals confirmed, she whispered into her comm. Pack structure matches intelligence estimates, 1 alpha female, 3 breeding males, 7 subordinates. In her earpiece, Staff Sergeant's voice came through clearly. Copy that, Captain. I have eyes on contact Beta 3 to your northwest. 9 individuals currently feeding on some kind of native prey. Over the past 18 hours, Maya's team had conducted the most comprehensive reconnaissance operation in guild history. While other hunters stumbled around the landscape looking for individual targets, her team had mapped every pack, identified every den site, and tracked every patrol route in the entire hunting zone. Doctor's status on electronic intelligence, Maya asked. All guild hunters are accounted for, came the reply from their cyber warfare specialist. I'm monitoring their communications in real time. Most interesting development is that 3 hunting teams have formed an unofficial alliance to share information about void hunter locations. Maya felt a moment of professional curiosity. Which teams? The Naga group, 2 of the crystalline hunters, and something called a phantom walker. They're pooling their intelligence and coordinating their attacks. Good for them, Maya replied. Still thinking like individual hunters, just with better communication. Patch me through to Master Chief. Here, Captain. Status on the surprises. Deployment complete. I've placed remote charges at 17 key locations throughout the hunting zone. Primary focus on canyon bottlenecks and ridge lines that funnel movement between territories. Maya smiled grimly. While other hunters prepared for individual combat, her combat engineer had been turning the entire landscape into a weapon. Doctor Analysis Update. The team's biologist had spent the night studying void hunter behavior through long-range observation equipment. Fascinating creatures, Captain. Their pack coordination is more sophisticated than initial reports suggested. They're using complex scent marking to communicate between groups, and they've established what appears to be a command hierarchy spanning multiple packs. Meaning, there's a dominant pack that seems to coordinate the activities of subordinate groups. Take out the command pack, and the others will likely become disorganized and vulnerable. Location of command pack. Central Den Complex, approximately 15 kilometers southeast of our position. Heavily defended, naturally fortified position. I count at least 20 individuals based on movement patterns. Maya consulted her tactical map. The central den was positioned perfectly for coordinating territorial control across the entire region. It was also the most dangerous target in the hunting zone. Perfect, she said. That's our primary objective. Captain, Major's voice carried a note of concern. Taking on 20 void hunters simultaneously would be considered suicide by guild standards. Guild standards assume you're fighting fair, Maya replied. We're not. She activated the team communication network to address all her specialists simultaneously. Listen up. Intelligence gathering phase is complete. We now have complete situational awareness of enemy positions, movement patterns, and command structure. Time to implement the elimination protocol. In various concealed positions throughout the hunting zone, Maya's team acknowledged the order. Phase 1 begins in 30 minutes, Maya continued. Sergeant, you have the longest shots. Take out the alpha females from Pax Delta 2 and Echo 5 simultaneously. That should trigger territorial confusion among the subordinate groups. Copy that, Captain. Range is extreme but manageable. Wind conditions are favorable. Chief Park, as soon as takes his shots, you initiate cascade detonation along the northern ridgeline. That should drive the displaced pack members toward the canyon system where we want them. Charges are ready, Captain. This is going to be spectacular. Staff Sergeant, you guide the fleeing void hunters into the kill zone. Use movement and sound to make them think they're being pursued by rival packs. Understood. These things are territorial enough that they'll follow predictable escape routes. Maya shifted her position slightly, getting a better view of the central den complex. Even at this distance, she could see void hunters moving in and out of the cave entrances with military precision. Doctor, I want you to jam all guild hunter communications during our operation. I don't want anyone else stumbling into our kill zone. Copy that. I can maintain the jamming for about 2 hours before other hunters start getting suspicious. That's more time than we need. Establish communication relay with Captain Tors. If this goes wrong, I want immediate extraction capability. Already done, Captain. She's maintaining overwatch position and monitoring all frequencies. Maya checked her chronometer. The operation she was about to initiate would eliminate more void hunters in 6 hours than the guild had killed in the past decade. Doctor, final question about pack behavior. When their command structure is attacked, how do subordinate groups react? Based on observed patterns, they'll either flee to secondary den sites or attempt to reinforce the primary location. Given the territorial nature of these creatures, I'd estimate 60% will attempt to reinforce. Which means 43 individual Void Hunters converging on the central den complex, Maya calculated quickly. Master Chief, you ready for that kind of party? His voice carried anticipation. Captain, I've been preparing for this kind of party my entire military career. The den complex is about to become the galaxy's most effective Void Hunter trap. Maya settled into her final firing position, her rifle trained on the approaches to the central den. Around her, invisible to any observer, the most sophisticated military operation in Guild history was about to begin. All teams sound off ready status. One by one, her specialists confirmed their readiness. 12 humans with centuries of combined military experience, equipped with technology designed for warfare rather than sport, about to demonstrate why humans had become the galaxy's most effective apex predators. Remember, Maya announced, we're not just eliminating threats to civilian populations, we're proving that human military doctrine is superior to traditional hunting methods. Every move is being recorded. Every decision will be analyzed. Make sure the galaxy understands what they're seeing. In the distance, something howled, the same predator call that had been terrorizing settlements across dozens of star systems. Copy that, Captain, his voice came through clearly. Time to show these things what real predators look like. Maya keyed her chronometer. Phase 1 initiates in 60 seconds. All teams stand by. Through her scope, she could see guild hunters scattered across the landscape, still following traditional hunting doctrine. Individual stalking, patient observation, waiting for the perfect shot at a single target. They were thinking like hunters. Maya's team was thinking like soldiers. 30 seconds, she announced. Somewhere in the canyon system below, 77 of the galaxy's most dangerous predators continued their territorial patrols, unaware that they were about to face something they had never encountered before. Human military efficiency. 10 seconds. Maya could hear her own heartbeat in the silence that followed. 18 hours of reconnaissance and preparation were about to pay off in what would either be the most successful operation in Guild history or the most spectacular failure. 5 seconds. She thought about the civilian settlements that had been attacked, the ships that had disappeared, the thousands of people who had died because these creatures were treated as sporting challenges instead of military threats. Execute. 2 kilometers away, Sergeant's rifle cracked twice in rapid succession. The specialized ammunition, designed for extreme-range precision, found its targets with mathematical certainty. 2 alpha females, the command centers of their respective packs, dropped simultaneously. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Subordinate pack members began howling in confusion and rage, their territorial instincts triggering aggressive responses toward neighboring groups. Phase 1 complete, reported. 2 confirmed kills, territorial disruption initiated. Seconds later, the northern ridgeline erupted in a series of controlled detonations. Chief Park's charges, precisely placed to channel movement rather than simply destroy, created avalanches and rock falls that blocked escape routes while opening others. Phase 2 complete, Park announced, driving targets toward designated kill zones. The Void Hunters reacted exactly as Doctor had predicted. Some fled toward secondary territories, following routes that had anticipated and mined with additional surprises. Others, following territorial imperatives, began moving toward the central den complex to investigate the threat. Phase 3 initiating, reported as he began his carefully orchestrated pursuit. Using movement patterns and sound cues, he made the fleeing Void Hunters believe they were being chased by rival packs, driving them exactly where Maya's team wanted them. Within minutes, the carefully maintained territorial balance that had existed among the Void Hunter packs for generations began collapsing into chaos. Maya watched through her scope as creatures that had ruled this landscape for millions of years found themselves facing something completely outside their experience. Not another predator competing for territory, but a coordinated military operation designed to eliminate them entirely. Contacts approaching the central den complex, she reported. I count 15 individuals so far with more incoming. Master Chief, you're cleared hot. His response was immediate. Copy that, Captain, initiating final phase. The central den complex had been turned into a kill zone that would have impressed human military engineers. Remote charges placed at strategic locations, motion sensors that could track movement in real time, and overlapping fields of fire that ensured nothing could escape once the trap was triggered. Maya keyed her communication system to the guild monitoring frequency. This is Captain providing operational update. Human team has engaged multiple Void Hunter packs simultaneously, requesting priority communication window for the next 2 hours. Captain, came the surprised reply, did you say multiple packs? Guild protocol recommends engaging only individual creatures. Guild protocol is about to be updated, Maya replied calmly. Out. She closed the communication channel and refocused on her scope. Below, the trap was about to be sprung. All teams final phase authorization, she announced. Remember, we're not just hunters today, we're teachers. And the lesson is simple: humans don't hunt individual prey, we eliminate entire threat populations. In the canyon system below, dozens of void hunters converged on what they thought was a defensive position. They were wrong. It was a killing field, designed by a species that had turned warfare into a science. The guild monitoring station orbiting Helix Prime fell silent as the final reports came in. High Hunter stood before the main display screen, his multiple eyes processing data that every precedent in guild history. Confirm the numbers, he said quietly to the monitoring technician. The technician, a nervous Aquarian whose gills fluttered with anxiety, checked the data 3 times before responding. Confirmed, High Hunter. Total Void Hunter eliminations, 77 individuals across 11 separate packs. Time elapsed, 6 hours, 14 minutes. And the other hunters? Current status, 14 confirmed kills among all 37 competitors combined. 3 hunters require medical evacuation. 1 confirmed fatality. Spines rippled with what might have been disbelief. 1 human team eliminated more Void Hunters in 6 hours than the entire guild has killed in the past decade. There's more, High Hunter, the technician continued reluctantly. Captain's team has requested permission to continue operations in adjacent sectors. They report the hunting zone is now completely clear of hostile contacts. Continue operations, repeated, for what purpose? Quote, thorough elimination of threat sources to prevent future predation against civilian populations, unquote. Before could respond, a priority communication alert chimed. The image of Elder appeared on the communication screen, her serpentine features twisted with confusion and anger. High Hunter, she hissed, explain to me how a single human team has apparently completed a guild challenge that was designed to last for weeks. Elder replied carefully, the human team has exceeded all expectations. Exceeded, they've destroyed the entire ecosystem. Preliminary reports suggest they eliminated every Void Hunter in the designated zone plus several adjacent territories. This wasn't hunting, it was genocide. With respect, Elder said, it was warfare, and humans appear to be exceptionally good at it. The communication screen split to show additional council members. Elder's massive form filled one section, while Elder Al's crystalline structure dominated another. This is unacceptable, rumbled. The guild challenge was supposed to test individual hunting prowess, not military capability. Perhaps, suggested, we should have that in the challenge parameters. Elder Al's harmonic voice resonated with distress. The implications are staggering. If humans can eliminate entire predator populations with such efficiency, what does this mean for the guild's purpose? It means, replied thoughtfully, that we've been thinking too small. On the planet below, Captain Maya stood in what had once been the central den complex of the dominant Void Hunter pack. The cavern system was now a testament to human military engineering. Carefully placed charges had collapsed strategic sections while leaving others intact for investigation. Doctor emerged from the depths of the complex, her biological sampling equipment loaded with specimens. Captain, this is incredible. These creatures had developed a sophisticated social structure spanning multiple generations. The archaeological evidence suggests they've been coordinating pack activities for thousands of years. And now they're extinct on this world, Maya replied without emotion. How long before the ecosystem stabilizes? Actually, that's the fascinating part. continued enthusiastically. By eliminating the apex predators, we've created opportunities for dozens of other species to flourish. Native herbivore populations should recover within months. The entire food web will rebalance to a more sustainable configuration. Staff Sergeant approached from his reconnaissance position. Captain, I've confirmed 0 Void Hunter survivors in the primary zone. Master Chief's demolitions were extremely effective. Casualties among the team. 0. Chief Park has some minor burns from handling explosives in this gravity, but Doc Stevens cleared her for continued operations. Maya nodded approvingly. A complex military operation with 0 friendly casualties was the mark of superior planning and execution. Status on Guild communications. Corporal looked up from his communication array. Quite a bit of chatter, Captain. The other hunting teams are requesting information about our methods. Several have formally withdrawn from the challenge. How many withdrawals? 12 teams so far. Apparently, seeing an entire ecosystem's worth of apex predators eliminated in 6 hours has made some hunters reconsider their career choices. Maya felt a moment of satisfaction. The point of this operation had never been to win a simple hunting challenge. It had been to demonstrate that human military capabilities were fundamentally different from traditional guild hunting methods. Doctor, what's the intelligence picture on remaining guild hunters? Technical Sergeant looked up from his cyber warfare station. Most of the remaining teams have consolidated into 3 groups. They're sharing information and resources, trying to adapt to what they're calling the human doctrine. Some interesting developments in their tactical communications. Such as, they're starting to use military terminology instead of hunting language, talking about threat elimination rather than trophy collection, coordinating movements like military units rather than individual competitors. Maya smiled. They're learning. There's more, Captain. I intercepted a communication between the Naga team leader and guild command. Quote, recommend immediate revision of guild training protocols to incorporate human tactical methodologies, unquote. Before Maya could respond, her communication system chimed with an incoming priority message from orbit. Captain, this is High Hunter, please respond. Maya activated the response channel. High Hunter, go ahead. Captain, I'm requesting permission to come to observe your operations firsthand. Permission granted. What's your interest? Educational, replied. The Guild Council is reassessing everything we thought we knew about apex predator hunting. Your methods appear to have applications far beyond sporting challenges. Copy that. We'll maintain position for your arrival. Maya closed the communication and turned to address her team. High Hunter is coming. I want a full operational briefing, prepared methods, results, and lessons learned. Should we clean up the area? Asked Master Chief, gesturing to the demolished den complex. Negative. I want him to see exactly what human military engineering looks like when applied to a biological threat. 2 hours later, transport touched down near the human team's position. The Massive emerged from the craft and immediately began analyzing the surrounding area with his enhanced senses. High Hunter, Maya said, approaching with appropriate military courtesy. His multiple eyes took in the transformed landscape. Where once there had been a complex ecosystem balanced around apex predators, there was now clear evidence of systematic threat elimination. Captain said slowly, I need to understand how you accomplished this. Gladly, Doctor, please brief the High Hunter on ecosystem analysis. For the next hour, Maya's team walked through their entire operation. From initial reconnaissance and intelligence, gathering through coordinated assault and systematic elimination protocols. Your methods are unlike anything in guild records, observed. You treated the entire Void Hunter population as a single military target. Because that's what they were, Maya replied. High Hunter, the guild has spent centuries treating dangerous creatures as individual challenges, but most apex predators operate in social groups with command structures and territorial coordination. You can't eliminate a military threat by picking off individual soldiers. Military threat, repeated thoughtfully. That's how you see these creatures. That's what they are. Void Hunters have killed thousands of civilians across dozens of worlds. They're not sporting challenges, they're enemy combatants. Studied the demolished den complex with obvious fascination. And human military doctrine calls for complete elimination of enemy capabilities. Exactly. You don't leave enemy command structures intact to regroup and attack again later. You destroy their ability to threaten civilians permanently. The other guild hunters are calling your methods excessive, noted. Maya looked at the directly. High Hunter, how many civilians died in Void Hunter attacks while the guild was debating hunting ethics? Spines drooped slightly. Point taken, Captain. A communication chime interrupted their discussion. Announced an incoming priority message from Guild Command. Captain, came Elder's voice over the communication system. You are hereby ordered to cease all hostile operations and report to the Guild monitoring station immediately. Maya looked at before responding. Elder, my team's mission is complete. All hostile contacts in the designated hunting zone have been eliminated. You exceeded your mission parameters. No, Elder, I achieved mission objectives. The challenge was to prove human hunting capabilities. We proved that humans don't hunt individual creatures, we eliminate entire threat populations. This is not hunting, this is warfare. Maya paused for a moment, considering her response. Around her, the landscape of Helix Prime stretched out peacefully for the first time in. No predator calls echoed from the canyons. No apex threats stalked through the shadows. Elder, Maya said finally, you're absolutely right. This is warfare. It's what humans do when civilization is threatened by hostile forces. The Guild will not tolerate such methods. Then the Guild will continue losing civilians to preventable predator attacks, Maya replied calmly. High Hunter, you've seen our methods and results. What's your assessment? Looked around at the transformed landscape, then at Maya's team of specialists who had accomplished in hours what would have taken traditional hunters months. Elder, he said slowly, I recommend immediate integration of human tactical methodologies into guild training protocols. Absolutely not. Elder continued, in 6 hours, this team eliminated more threats to civilian populations than the guild has neutralized in decades. Their methods are proven effective. Their methods are militaristic. Their methods save lives, replied firmly, which should be our primary concern. Maya activated her team communication network. All teams, pack it up, mission complete. As her specialists began gathering their equipment, Maya turned back to the communication system. Elder, the human team is returning to orbit as requested. However, I should mention that we've received formal contracts from 17 different planetary governments to eliminate apex predator threats using our demonstrated methodologies. What? Word travels fast, Elder. Governments that have been dealing with predator attacks for years are suddenly very interested in permanent solutions rather than temporary hunting expeditions. The communication channel went silent for several seconds. This changes everything, Elder said finally, her voice barely a whisper. Yes, Maya agreed. It does. The question is whether the Guild adapts to new realities or becomes irrelevant to galactic security needs. As Maya's team prepared for extraction, High Hunter approached her one final time. Captain, may I ask what your next assignment will be? Maya looked up at the darkening sky, where Captain Torres would soon arrive for extraction. They execute final phase, Maya ordered. The landscape erupted in coordinated destruction, as Maya's team demonstrated why humans had never met a military problem they couldn't solve. And the Void Hunters were about to learn why that distinction mattered. The hall remained silent long after she disappeared through the exit.